LeetCode problem 1403. Minimum subsequence in non-increasing order. Given the array nums, obtain a subsequence of the array whose sum of elements is strictly greater than the sum of the non-included elements in such subsequence. If there are multiple solutions, return the subsequence with minimum size, and if there still exist multiple solutions, return the subsequence with the maximum total sum of all its elements. A subsequence of an array can be obtained by erasing some, possibly zero, elements from the array. Note that the solution with the given constraints is guaranteed to be unique. Also return the answer sorted in non-increasing order. So in this problem, we want to return a subsequent array containing values from the given array whose sum is greater than the sum of elements that are not included. So a better way to look at this is that we want an array whose sum is going to be greater than half the sum of the given array. So let's try and diagram this. The first thing we're going to want to do is get the total value of the array and set it to a variable. So we can do that by using the reduce method. And I'm going to create a variable called half that uses the reduce method, and it just takes the sum of every element in the array and then divides it by 2. So right now with this given array, we've got 4, 3, 10, 9, and 8, which is equal to 34. And then divided by 2 is going to be equal to 17. So half in this example is equal to 17. And what we need to do is find a subsequent array whose sum is going to be greater than 17. So now that we have our half variable, we want to start building out our result array. And we can do that by setting 2 variables. The first variable is going to be called res, and that's going to be set to an empty array. The next variable is going to be sum, and this is going to be a running total of the elements included in the result array. So to get our result array started, we're going to loop through the nums array and start adding numbers to it. So on the first pass through, we're going to take this 4 and we're going to add it to the result array. And then we're going to add it to the sum. So sum is now going to equal 4. Then on the next pass, we're going to add 3 to the result array, and then we're going to add it to the sum. So now sum is going to be equal to 7. Next pass, we add the 10. So we add it to our result array, and then we add it to our sum, which is now equal to 17. 17 is equal to our half variable, which is also 17, but we're looking for a number that's greater. So on the next pass, we're going to take 9, we're going to add it to the array, and then we're going to add it to our sum, and this will give us 26. Now, in the example given, this is not the given answer that we're looking for. We're looking for an output that is sorted in non-increasing order, and it has a minimum size. So we can actually get an output that size is only 2 elements. And it just so happens that these 2 elements are the 2 greatest in the given array. So what we should have done before we looped through the array is sort it so that we have the largest elements at the very front. So let's add this step, and that's going to be nums.sort, and we're going to sort it in decreasing order so we have the largest elements at the front. And that's going to give us this array right here where we start with the 10 and end with the 3. So let's run this again, except now we're going to use the sorted array. So on the first pass through, we have 10. So we're going to add that to our result array. And then we're going to add it to our sum, which will be equal to 10. Then on the next pass, we have 9, which we added to our result array. And we're going to add it to our sum, which will now be 19. Now that we have a value that's greater than half, we want to return our result array as our answer. And we can do that using a conditional. If sum is greater than half, 19 is greater than 17, then we want to return our result array right here. So now that we have this diagrammed, let's try and write it in code. So the first thing we want to do in our code is sort the given nums array. So we're going to do nums.sort, and we want this to be in decreasing order. So we're going to return b minus a. And the next thing we want to do is set our value for half, and that is going to be equal to nums.reduce. And we're going to get our accumulator and our current value. And this is going to equal the accumulator plus the current value, and it's going to start at 0. And then we want to set this divided by 2, so it's equal to half of the total sum of the given nums array. Now we want to create our variables for the result array that we're going to return, so we're going to set res equal to an empty array, and then we want to start sum at 0. Now we can start our for loop. So we're going to start our iterator I at 0, and then we want I to run as long as it is less than the length of num. So we're going to say nums.length. And we want to increment I at each pass. So we're going to do I plus plus. So the first thing we want to do inside of this loop is push the number into our result array. So we're going to do res.push, and we want it to be the current iteration value of nums. So it's going to be res.push nums I. And then we want to add this value to our sum. So we're going to do sum plus equals nums I. After this, we want to run a conditional to check if sum is greater than our half variable. So we're going to say if sum is greater than half, then we want to return our result array as our answer. And that's going to do it for the code. So let's run this with the tests. And we get an accepted answer. Let's use all test case examples. And we're getting accepted for all the test cases. So now I'm going to submit and see what our result is. And we get a successful message. We have a runtime of 75 milliseconds and pretty solid memory usage. And that is it for problem 1403. If you have any questions, if you have any answers of your own you would like to share, or if you have any improvements to my code, please leave them in the comments below. And thanks again for watching.